Connecting up the extra channel on the SA10. Now what I want to do is monitor that on the second SDDS. So there's the pin wiring for it, extra 12, which is not really described on the on here. It's not really described on here. It's only described on the back panel of the SA10. Shh, it's a secret. Anyway, so I've got to connect those pins. Plus, I've got to, connect them the other way round because the connections on the SDDS are the other way round. So the positive, negative, So I'll be connecting them somewhere on the centre so I can monitor it, because it's a single signal, so I can monitor it. I can monitor the level, I can see it on there, but I want to see actual level. Okay, got it wired up, and that's the signals there. Needs a bit of tuning up, I think. But it's working. I'll test it with something. So those are just muted at the moment, only the surrounds are being monitored. Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, it's going everywhere. So that's only one part of the ones back here. They're on a different channels and such, different matrixing expansion. There's sound kind of music shifting around up and down sort of thing. Ooh. It's kind of okay. You get a slight sort of kind of difference or something. Maybe you get a surprise sometimes. So yeah, so I don't have to monitor the levels there. I can monitor the side surround. Obviously that signal stays the same, and there's something that for auxiliary with a 7.1 or Atmos is neither here or there, because it is, your stereo rear backs and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's not a bad monitoring I got there. It's amazing. All the sound effects, right? Yeah, all those spaceships. Woo! And he's in a cockpit with an atmospheric pressure in there, and it's amazing. Hear all the bloody sounds on the exterior. It's amazing, so clear. And you... I mean, it's just diabolical. But how would it have been if you just mute it. Ooh, go around in circles. Oh gosh. But don't forget, Anakin, there's no up, down, side to side in outer space, okay? Zero gravity. It's weightless. It's a good sound effect, you know, when they shoot the things up, the pitons or whatever, then they sort of like, pew, 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 sort of like across the screen channels. Unmute. Oh, wow. 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 So I can mute the center back there and the extra. Show off, aren't I? But then I was a projectionist. But that was back in a century when film was film, you know. And cinema was really a special place. But I don't think cinemas are anymore now. Oh, gong gong. It's too bad I couldn't have got a PL2X to work. I don't know. I may try a PL2X again. It just seems very tricky. I mean, with that delay effect I was getting, but this seems to be going okay. Otherwise, usually I have a specific different matrix outputting from my below surround. So otherwise, it was kind of experimented as well as I experimented it with myself with a Dolby DSR70 Pro Yamaha. Gosh, I think 2 years ahead of when I think Sound Deluxe Dolby Labs with We Were Soldiers, Sonic Whole Overhead Surround. Yeah, I kind of tinkered with it on the with playing. I don't know. It may have been the movie Hollow Man on DVD. I was tinkering around about early 2000. So because UCI Tower Park had originally overhead surround, and so yeah, so I was kind of tinkering with the idea for a couple of weeks because the speakers I had at the time were very tiny. I mean, not that tiny, only about that tiny, and they were kind of a little bit frequency limited, but it worked. But what I think I could do now is a trifle lot better than what, yeah. And usually you don't get out of the boxes, out all these Trinovs and Trinov seems to be, I think, gets a lot of bit of backlash, whiplashing a lot really because of it's it's just such an overrated item, and it's overpriced, really. Um, what am I saying? Is that yeah, just adding on, just to get a little bit more extra exciting surround spice, if there's such a word for that. Yeah, it seems to work okay. So, speakers back there and directly right below me, as well as the other ones, but they're not turned on at the moment. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm gonna piggyback the regular stereo, the regular surround, whether it be mono, matrix, Dolby Stereo discrete, or yeah, and just try to figure out how to merge it with the overheads. I mean, do I put a Y lead on the back of the connectors that I've got on going out from there for the SA10s in the kitchen? Do I put yeah, I could try that. And then get the level set here. So I have all these I'd have all these levels set to max, and then adjust that, because I'd have to certain movies or whatever it's going to be played, I would have to turn these off. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit distracting, depending on what content of movie or what I want to recreate. I mean, the first movie I heard at UCI Tower Park with overhead surround was Ghostbusters 2, Dolby SR, in screen, 2 larger screens, I think screen 5. About a week later, I was a trainee there, and was with UCI for about a year. Heard a lot of movies with overhead surround, and of course it was kind of like strange, because usually speakers are usually placed along the side wall and back wall, left half, right half. So like I say, move a speaker and you have it near to you, and then it sounds like a bloody speaker. You move your head this way, that way. It doesn't sound very immersively uniform, just with a single speaker. And then you move it a bit higher up, and then guess what? It starts to radiate and then starts sounding a little bit more uniform at certain frequencies. Because once you get down to things like pink noise, and using the filtering on the pink noise and making the pink noise sound from 1 kilohertz to maybe 2 kilohertz, or 1 kilohertz to 20, or 1 kilohertz to 4 kilohertz, or 2 kilohertz to 3 kilohertz, any of that, and you making and then listening and such, listening to, you're not listening to the whole spectrum of it playing, and then you listen, and then you make determinations on, that sounds a little bit too pinpointy, directional, but I suppose that may be okay, whatever. But yeah, the thing at UCI worked pretty well. I think the ceiling height was not as great as the Gaumont Odeon Screen 1, whereas their overhead surround was a lot more higher up. And sounded pretty damn good. Probably not the best bass and all that, because the speakers were 1960s or something. But yeah, it was okay. Yeah, but Dolby Lab's trying to push and force all this Atmos. Really. 3D immersive XYZ. Yeah, sure. If it was true X, Y, and Z and all that, and doing the sound from this level, only goes from this level, and then it goes up and then comes back down to this level. It doesn't go down to the actual floor. There's no discrete, but it is doable to matrix a signal into it, whether it be in the side surrounds or even in the overheads, and put an anti-phase signal. You know, you mixing so many sounds together, and you got one element of tracks that are playing, and you put them with reverse anti-phasing, and then the signal with a decoder will get steered into that channel, and so you get then like kind of like 4 channels. Not true 4, but it's better than nothing. And then, yeah, you know, you want to nitpick at it, but really until something really discreet comes along, like a Mark II version of Atmos. But then that will piss a lot of cinema owners off. It, not that I really care. It will piss a lot of home cinema owners off totally, because they'll be like, you got to totally upgrade to a new, you know, unless they could say figure a way out around this with all the top models out there and think we can do this with replacing a certain part of the circuit board. But it would need modifications for the outputs, and it just, you know, it's new equipment again. They should have done that 10 years ago when they came out with Atmos. They should have done that 10 years ago, and then it'd be all backward. Everything would be there. There would be no compromise. There's nowhere else to go with it then. It's final. It's finalised. That's it. To a degree. Because speakers, like I say, speakers are pretty stupid at the end of the day. Okay? Like I say, you play certain pink noises into the speakers, and then you can say, yeah, that speaker's in that position there. Great, don't fool me. You know? Real sound in real world. Or make a different sound. You know. That's so many speaker directions, so many speakers individually. Realistically, that wall should be clustered. But how many size speakers? I mean, how long's a piece of string? I've brought this subject up so many times. How long is a piece of bloody string, and how many bloody speakers, for crying out loud? How many how many output? Well, not output. How many? Firstly, you got to mix it. So how many encoding to decoding channels? If you want the real answer, it is a lot. It is a lot. And you know, you got to draw a line there. Say that's just a little bit too. But you know, you want to watch some rubbish movies. Sometimes they're good movies, sometimes they're rubbish, and then the sound mix might be okay. The sound mix might be bloody obnoxious. The sound mix might be brilliant. I don't know. It just depends. And it's like you're trying to escape from reality. And yet, you know, I can just hold an object like that, you know, like a Dolby object moving around, you know. Or I can go and sleep on the bed channel, and get some sleep and dream about objects. Oh, hang on. There we go. Yeah, got a speaker in it. Lightsaber sound, isn't it? That's when the lightsaber's idling. Wow, wow, wow. It's making a little bit of noise there, like a hissy noise there. I hear it below me. course, if I move it up, the noise, buzzing, masks the hiss sound and such. So it's yeah, yeah, it is what it is, I suppose.